Good morning. I'm going to show you a simple way of linking computing with geography, and we're going to use an app called Scratch Junior that's free for Android tablets or iPads. So you download the app, it's all free, click on it, and then you go to a new project. So first of all, you need to think about what habitat you want, and that's you go to the icon in the top next to the ABC. So these are all your habitats. So just think about where you would like your character to start. Now, it might be sensible before you choose your habitat to choose your character. So let's imagine we've got a journey that happens in a hot place. So I might choose a camel. So clearly I do not want the cat because you don't usually get cats in deserts. So straight away I'm thinking of the habitat. So I'm going to rest my finger on the cat and delete the cat. So then I'm going to try and find the habitat that would suit a camel. Now, as you can see, there isn't one. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to take a picture of one. So if you look at this one here, this was a picture I drew, and then I use the camera tool to take a picture of that. So I would go to here and I'd go to a blank one, go to the paint pot, and then I'd choose the camera tool, which is on the right there, and just take a picture of it. So basically, if your habitat isn't there, you're going to have to draw a habitat. So let's just go back and we'll choose a different animal with a habitat that is there. So this time I'll choose, say, a polar bear. And I'll choose the ice pack. There we go. So now we're thinking of the journey that the polar bear could go on. So what we'll do is we'll just type in the journey at the top. So you can put text in. The text does stay on every slide, so you can only put one bit of text. So when we go to the second one, then we're going to not be able to put more text in. Now it's 20 units across. So if I go to the second icon at the top, it shows me the squares. So that's really useful. Now the first thing I want to do, I'm clicking on the yellow one at the bottom, is I want to, when I start my journey, I'm going to make the animal smaller. So I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller. So I'm just going to experiment with these. These are called variables. So I'm just going to put 10 in, click on the green flag, and that's probably too small. So I'll just put 7 in. And then you just move your character to where you want it to go. So I want my character to walk along here, and then I'm going to load a second copy of the background where I'm going to put a penguin. So let me do that first of all before I put the rest of the coding in. So number 2 is here. Now I don't want the cat, so I'm going to delete the cat, and I'm going to just download a penguin and a polar bear. So I can only do one at a time. Now notice, if you're doing layers, the one at the top is at the back. So can you see the penguins in front of the polar bear? So if I wanted the polar bear in front of the penguin, I'd have to do them the other way around. Now I want it to look like a continuous journey, so I'm going to add the same background. Now notice there's only one background, so we're a little bit limited. So the polar bear is going to have to come over here, and the penguin is going to be there. Now it makes sense if it's a story for the polar bear to be the same size as it was on the first one. So we're going to say size 7. Now you'll think about why I'm not going to put a green flag in this time. I'm just going to do the size one, and I'll tell you that a bit later. So that's going to be 7. Okay, and then I'm going to put it in the same position. So I do need the green flag. Let's just... Now, you got to debug my code. So that's a really useful thing to say. Debug means to change it. So I'll give you a second just to think about what Mr. Smith's done wrong. Yeah, I'm trying to change the size of the polar bear, not the penguin. So I'll actually make that just 4 so people can see it. And I'll put it on there. Now you do have to think about the size of the relative size of the animals. So you might find that that looks too big. But what I might do is put the polar bear further back so it's in the distance. So if you think of a journey, you've got to think about the position of the animals to tell the story. So let me just say, I'm going to click on the polar bear and I'm going to say that was 7, wasn't it, for the polar bear. Now you can see you've got to be very logical when you're doing this. So let me just go back and see if that was 7. Yeah, and I'm quite pleased because that's in the distance, so it's going to be smaller. So there we go, and I've got to put it there. Now we're going to make this polar bear look as if it's walking across the screen to here. So it's 20 units. So I'm just going to put its tail against the side there. Notice it says 2, so 20 plus 2 is 22, so it's going to take it on to the next slide. So that's what I really want, so I'm going to move that to 2 as well. And I can also get the same height, so that says 8 and that says 8, so it should look quite smooth. So now I'm going to make my polar bear move 20 units. And then this is the clever bit, I'm going to change to the second scene. So I need a red one and I'm going to go there. So now when it goes smaller, it walks along and then it'll go to there and it'll meet the penguin. And then you could get it to say some penguin facts or some polar bear facts, and they could actually have a conversation. So you could say, try and be scientific. So by scientific, I mean not just say it's cold here. Try and think about what the animal might eat. So let me just check which one I'm programming. So I'm doing the polar bear. So he wouldn't really say hi. So I might just say polar bears eat penguins. So I'm going to delete the hi and I'm going to write polar bears eat penguins, which is true. They need to have food, so they do eat penguins. So let's just run it from the beginning. I'm going to make it full screen and take that off just so you can see the finished product. So now I'm clicking on the green flag. Now I've made a mistake, and this is quite useful in a way. I made a mistake. You must click on the first slide before you make it full screen and click on go. So let's just try that now. So the journey, it's moving along, goes to the edge, that's 20, stops, polar bears eat penguins. And then the last thing is take it off full screen and I've got to save it. Now, because you might be on separate tablets, it's best to put your initials in here. So I'll put RS and pretend I'm working with somebody else. So they're called KS. And then I can even call it Journey 1, because you might have a go to do a second version with different animals. And then what you could do as some evidence, you could call your teacher over and then you could ask them to take a picture. Best to have a picture with the text showing, and then you can show people what you've done. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, and you've been doing programming today.